Our story begins, well, you already know, with our wily director, safe inside from the snow. 'Twas the eve before Christmas, and all on TV there were nothing but Christmas films, nothing else seen. Our director, unlucky, brought miles away from his home by his writer before Christmas Day. While his writer was out spending time with his love, our director had woes, as we've mentioned above. Away from his desk, he'd no work to be done, forced to watch Christmas movies, which he thought overdone.
Did you just try to rhyme done with overdone?
Stop breaking the fourth wall.
Then learn what a stanza is. You're breaking the rhythm half the time.
Yes, our director did not like the old Christmas tale. He thought them outmoded, unfounded, and stale. The holiday, something he'd look forward to, had become oversaturated. He knew not what to do. No, he didn't want presents, not even a movie. He just wanted a feeling of Christmas to move in. With no cheer in his heart and no zeal in his stride, our poor director had lost all Christmas pride. This year was not kind to him, so it would appear. The director couldn't wait for the end of the year. But let's not be so dreary, not on this time of year, for our fine director needed holiday cheer. So let's not be down, especially not now. What he needed was a Christmas special. But how? And the answer, dear viewers, I know that you'll savor it, for our Christmas tale starts with a welcome fan favorite.
I must say, Director, your fiancé has quite a Christmas decor.
Why are you even here?
Why do you think I'm here?
If I had to guess, I'd say to annoy the crap out of me again. Although odd timing this year, being around a different holiday.
Christmas is a pagan holiday.
Christmas is not a Wait, yes it is. But regardless of that, new outfit or whatever, I'm really not in the mood to deal with your right now.
Oh, come on. I wasn't even here this Halloween to hear your little spiel. But then again, so was nobody else.
What, do you want me to do a Christmas spiel or something?
You do like reviewing movies, right?
Yes.
And you do like Christmas, right?
Yes.
So why don't you just review a Christmas movie?
God, I'm not doing a Christmas review. Are you crazy?
But why not?
Because there are too many of them. Too many of them for me to even keep track of, let alone decide which one of them did worse than the other one. It's not really a far-fetched idea that Christmas movies are kind of abundant when it comes to the season. In fact, there's probably too many of them. Everyone likes to go back and forth about their favorite Christmas movies, and a lot of critics like to talk about their favorite and least favorite Christmas movies. And you know what? I'm sure that discourse would be fun to take part of, if I could keep track of how many there actually were. How am I supposed to pick one specific Christmas movie to review if there are so many of them that probably have the exact same mistakes as others that how am I supposed to pick and choose? So, if you'll join me, I'd like to talk with you today about the problem with Christmas movies. And the only major question I have at the moment is, god damn it, where do I start with this?
Why you've been going off about original movies? Hallmark's been
Don't even get me started on Hallmark. Now, when you hear a lot of people say that they're tired of Christmas movies because they've become formulaic and identical to each other, a lot of people will cite Hallmark as the first major implication. And frankly, I'd have to agree with them. Hallmark is kind of the example of how you can take one idea for a Christmas movie and somehow stretch it into 136 other movies and somehow not lose an audience base for all of them. In most cases, most Christmas movies may have the same formula and and it's not necessarily copy-paste between them, but in Hallmark's case, it really is copy-paste. There are so many similar variables between Hallmark movies that if you turn all of them on or off intermittently between each other, that different combinations will net you different movies. Like, is the husband dead, or a veteran, or at war, or a deadbeat father? Is the mother a workaholic? Has the dog run away from home? When you hear someone say that they're upset that film companies keep making more and more Christmas movies that are identical to each other, this is the kind of thing they're trying to get at.
Okay, so maybe the original ideas are a little bit washed up. Maybe something more like a classic, like
Rudolph?
Yeah, like Rudolph the Reindeer, or Frosty the Snowman, or Year Without Santa Claus.
Well, I mean, those movies haven't really aged well, but... Arguably, I don't think there have been too many other versions of these particular characters like some other examples we'll get to here in a bit, but Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, some of these stop-motion/cartoon animated Christmas movies are kind of the ones that kind of both do and don't hold up. On the one hand, everyone has seen at least one of these movies before and is familiar with at least the base storyline. I mean, it doesn't help that they play their corresponding songs all the time, but at the very least, everyone has seen at least one stop-motion Christmas movie in this type. For the record, my favorite is A Year Without a Santa Claus. But on the other hand, there's some padding in these movies that just don't make a whole lot of sense.
Why weren't you at elf practice?
They're a little bit stale, the stop motion is a little bit simplistic, and kind of may have contributed to the fear of stop motion in certain people at a young age, myself included. But on the other hand, they are classic Christmas films that do still in a way hold up. Their morals are still intact, even if some people take some of them out of context and don't really understand the point behind them. They're still good, in a sense, mostly.
Okay, well, you like classics, so what about something that's a classic, but not original, but also very beloved, like A Christmas Carol?
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
There may have been just one book, but as far as movies for A Christmas Carol go, there were like dozens. Here's a big example of oversaturation within oversaturation. A Christmas Carol, a book written by Charles Dickens that was released in 1843. Immediately upon its release, it was instantly declared a Christmas classic. So, naturally, a book with that kind of reputation is going to get some kind of film adaptation, right? Well, let me check my notes here. There's 49 versions of the story? And that's only counting the major release version. My general point is that there's a lot of versions of the story, and the problem is, most of them are interchangeable with each other. There's nothing different about half of them. It's just A Christmas Carol again most of the time. This one has George C. Scott. This one has Patrick Stewart. There's literally no difference between half of these.
Why, surely out of all those dozens of versions, there's gotta be one or two or three that you must like.
Well, there were a few of them that I like. Out of all the versions of A Christmas Carol, there are two versions that I keep coming back to because of how creative they are. One of them is Scrooged, a movie that stars Bill Murray in which he plays a TV executive similar to Scrooge, who is trying to put together a TV broadcasted version of A Christmas Carol, while he himself is also subjected to the same events of A Christmas Carol, but in his own way. What makes it entertaining is seeing these two different things happening at the same time and intersecting with each other, making Bill Murray's character more and more paranoid. Not to mention this is Bill Murray around the Ghostbusters era, so his performance makes everything that much more fun to watch. And the other one is the one movie that takes A Christmas Carol and brings it to its next logical extreme and turns it into a musical.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me.
In 1970, theaters were graced with a version of A Christmas Carol simply called Scrooge. Its main roles, Scrooge and Marley, are occupied by respectively Albert Finney and Alec Guinness, as in Sir Alec Guinness, 7 years before Star Wars. And goddammit, every fiber of my being just loves this musical. Not only is the acting great and the costume and set design fantastic, but this musical has some of my favorite numbers in music history.
I hate
people.
Not to mention, this version does a wonderful job of conveying the story of A Christmas Carol and even goes as far as to reincorporate certain things that most versions don't have. You remember the chains that Marley was talking about when his scene? Well, those are actually played into later in the movie, in a scene where Scrooge is actually in hell.
Ooh, what about if you look at Christmas movies that really look at the true origin of Christmas?
Yule?
No,
Saturnalia?
less pagan.
Oh, the Christmas movies. The Christian Christmas movies.
Are you sure you want him going down that road?
I'm sure, Ryder.
Now, I'm not counting movies that do nothing but retell the story of the birth of Christ or anything. I mean, you could just easily say that those are just kind of reenactment films, if anything. I'm talking about a very specific type of Christmas movie. The kind that panders to one specific demographic. The kind of one where you take the religious aspect out of the plot and then the plot seemingly doesn't exist anymore. Exhibit A, Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. You know those people that say there's a war on Christmas, saying that everything is going against their holiday and everyone is catering to everybody else's holiday, not realizing that Christmas alone is one of the most marketed holidays of the entire year? Show of hands of who's seen a Hanukkah commercial this year. Well, imagine a group of those people got together and made their own movie about that so-called war on Christmas. That's pretty much what Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas is. The plot of the movie is basically this guy doesn't like how corporations have pretty much seized Christmas for its own gains, and how he doesn't like celebrating Christmas as much because of it. And Kirk Cameron's here on the other side of the car to say that he's wrong. Literally through 2/3 of this entire movie is just these two arguing back and forth at a car, shot, reverse shot. If that sounds incredibly vague, trust me, I'm trying to simplify this as much as I can because they really overcomplicate this for themselves. The plot is basically conservatives getting angry over things they made up themselves, Christmas edition. It carries a theme that a lot of Christmas movies seem to have. One specific viewpoint that only caters to one specific demographic, and if you're not behind that demographic, well, too bad. Like a Christmas movie about everyone trying to be in a mad dash for one specific toy, while also somehow not taking the stance that going nuts over a specific toy that only benefits a corporation's interest doesn't go against the meaning of Christmas. That's just an issue with modern filmmaking.
Let me guess. They must have got it better in the golden age of cinema.
What? Oh, no. Christmas movies back then sucked too. It's not like Christmas movies haven't had this stance before, because even some of the more classic ones, as in old age of cinema type ones, have had this problem before. Like Miracle on 34th Street, for example, which, although charming, is pretty much just a commercial for Macy's.
Well, the only important thing is to make the children happy. And whether Macy or somebody else sells the toy doesn't make any difference. Don't you feel that way?
And of course you have It's a Wonderful Life as well, which is more of a weird movie than anything, but it's a nice story of a man who doesn't realize what he has until everything is seemingly taken away from him. But just because everyone cites those two movies as a golden age for Christmas movies, it's not like they didn't have an oversaturation problem back then either, because pretty much any movie back then could be deemed a Christmas movie. Some movies, like Miracle of the Bells, are considered Christmas movies, even though there's only one scene in the entire movie that actually takes place in Christmas. What I'm essentially getting at is that there's all sorts of different Christmas movies, and a lot of them seem to share the same problem, and it can seem very difficult to sort through them. And I think I've found the solution to our little problem here. Have you ever noticed that there are some people that deem The Nightmare Before Christmas as a Christmas movie, and that there are some people that also determine it to be a Halloween movie and not a Christmas movie? But there's an interesting dilemma happening here where two different people are seeing two different types of a movie, even though both of them may very well be correct. The only difference between the two viewers is their perception. If you find 10 random people and ask them, what is your favorite Christmas movie and why, most likely you aren't going to get the same answer twice on both of them. You might get 2 or 3 people who have the same favorite movie, but their reason for it being their favorite may be different from each other. And that's because everyone's tastes and everyone's idea of what a good Christmas movie is pretty much different. Their answers are entirely determined by their unique perspective, and the problem with Christmas movies can simply be solved by finding what your unique perception is. It can seem daunting at first. I mean, there are a lot of Christmas movies to sort through, but if you ask around, it doesn't take long to see which ones seem to shine through with more people. Some perspectives do intersect, and you'll start finding patterns in certain places. At the end of the day, there are a lot of people that like A Nightmare Before Christmas, even if they are for different reasons. But what matters the most when finding your favorite Christmas movies is simply what your perspective is at the end of the day. For me, I'm always going to love the 1970s Scrooge the Musical. That's always going to be my favorite Christmas movie. I love how creative it is, I sing along with the songs all the time. And yeah, corporations are always going to try to capitalize off the season. There's always going to be more and more Christmas movies. And who knows, some of them in the future may actually be pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's all about what you think that matters. And if you have a Christmas movie that you cherish a lot, share it. Let other people see what you see. And sure, some people may not like the same stuff that you have. Their perception is going to be different. But giving them the chance to view your perspective from a different point of view can sometimes be everything. And it's things like that that go well with this season. I mean, it's not called the season of giving for no reason. Basically, what I'm trying to get across is that I will gladly take a Christmas movie that takes risks over a Christmas movie that just panders to the lowest common denominator.
Well, look at that. Talking about Christmas movies wasn't so bad after all, was it, director?
Oh my god, I have so many ideas now. God, I could talk about the different types of Christmas Carol movies that were made. I could go into depth about some of the older generation of films one year. You did this on purpose, didn't you?
I know, director.
You didn't mess with things, you just put things back in order with... Why would you do all this?
Well, director, I hopped onto your channel just to see how you were doing, just being old friends, and I noticed you weren't doing as well as when I was here last time, so I figured I might come back just to help you.
I appreciate it, but I really didn't need all the help.
Oh, but the audience decided that there's two big reasons why you needed my help, director.
Yeah, I'm sure those two reasons are plentiful.
And besides, director, everyone needs a little bit of fun this time of year. Even you.
Director? Hey, wake up! Wake up! Huh? Looks like you were freaking out there for a second. Yeah, just had this really weird dream. This is why. Told you to stop drinking this so much. It's gonna make you sick. I swear. What's this? What? Is that lipstick? Must have been some dream you were having.